see me? Sorry, I just had to put my phone on Do Not Disturb. So awesome, happy to have you. Today what we're doing is we're talking about how to have a really strong intuition and how that leads to aligned manifestations only. I know that this is a training that a lot of you guys have been requesting and waiting for, so I'm super excited to be finally doing this today live with you guys. I'm gonna give you a second to hop on. Please let me know when you can see me and hear me, and then we will jump right into it. Okay, hi friends, I see you. Hello, hello. You can join the YouTube membership to have access to the live chat. Yay, hey girly. Hello everyone, awesome. Okay, so let's get started. So what I wanna do today, today's agenda is we're gonna do a little meditation to get us in our body, to get us in the present moment so we can really receive this transmission fully. And then I have some notes here of some things I wanna talk to you guys about how to really build that connection with your intuition. And we'll work through that. I'll let you know my process of building my intuition, and obviously this is not dogma. Like, just because this was my process doesn't mean it's exactly going to be your process, but I promise you that we all have a God-given intuition. It's not like some people just have it, a gift, and you don't. You do have it. They've just exercised that muscle more, right? Like, just like any other muscle, it's not like, oh, some people are God-given a strong body and some aren't. Like, it's a muscle that you have to go to the gym and build up. So it's the same thing. And so we'll be visiting my book to talk about where I have all of that outlined. And then we'll see if we have time for a question or two. Me too. Oh my God, butterflies are a huge symbol in my life as well. Happy to hear that it is for you guys too. Wow. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, let's do the meditation first. So what we're going to do is just become aware of our breath. No forcing, no efforting. We're just dropping into the now moment, using our breath and our body as a portal. Simple, natural, easy, effortless breaths. And I'm going to name some body parts, and as I do so, you're going to put your attention and your breath in those areas to really help ground yourself. So breathe from the soles of your feet. So you're going to inhale and exhale from the soles of your feet. Don't think too much about it, just do it. You know how to do this. Just drop in. And now if you are a female, you're going to drop your awareness into your womb space, and you're going to breathe from your womb. And if you are a male, you're going to drop your awareness to your solar plexus, and you're going to breathe from there. Just breathing effortlessly, letting whatever is inside our body, whatever experience is having, to let it be okay. Just offering acceptance and love. Okay, you're going to put your awareness and your breath into the palms of your hands and breathe from there. Noticing tingling, opening, whatever your sensation, just adding it to your experience. It's no right or wrong. whatever you're feeling. We're going to now move to our heart, breathing from our heart. Opening and expanding without any effort. You're going to move to your throat now, breathing from your throat, putting your attention and awareness there. Moving to your ears, put your attention and awareness there. In your ears, around your ears, listening as if God is speaking. Including whatever else you hear as part of the experience. No right or wrong. You're going to now put your attention on your third eye, that space between your eyebrows. Breathe from there, effortlessly, activating it. And whenever you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. And hopefully you feel grounded in your body, in the present, and we will get started with the training. Let me know how that felt for you guys. Amazing. Hello, hello everyone. Okay, so what is your intuition? Okay, your intuition is, in the simplest terms, your natural evolved state when you are not overly identified as the ego, as the human in your fight or flight. So when we came here into this planet, we were supposed to have sort of like 1 foot here and 1 foot connected to the divine. We were supposed to be receiving messages from our like world here and how to be, but also receive guidance from above. But unfortunately, because of the way that we've evolved, that part that notices the external state here on this planet is just louder and it's stronger. And those internal like knowings that's connected to the divine is just more subtle. Okay? It's, when I say subtle, it doesn't mean it's like less powerful. It's way more powerful. It's just quieter. Because if you were in the wild and there was an actual threat in front of you, like a lion was going to eat you, right? That's not a good time to be like meditating and like, you know, on cloud 9, like la di da, Because if you get eaten, then you have to start the entire incarnation process over again. So because it's important for you to be able to be alive here and not be like have one, hand bitten off by a lion or whatever, that part of you is stronger. And so one of the biggest myths is that some people have just this God-given gift of intuition and others don't. That is not true. We all have it. Some are just more aware of it and they have worked out that muscle. I want you to think of intuition as a muscle that you have to go to the spiritual gym to work. And just like how you work out your body, it doesn't matter if you've been working out for 10 years. If you stop now, in about 4 weeks, your body is gonna start getting real flabby. Okay, it doesn't matter that you've been doing it for 20 years. This is something that you have to keep doing. And so I want you to think of it just like you work out your body in the gym. You're going to have to work on building that intuition muscle so that you're aware of that as well as you are aware of the signals from your environment of real or perceived threats. It should be at least at the same level. If not, the intuitive part should be stronger, right? But at least let's get to neutral, where you're able to receive both messages, okay? Another myth that I've not only heard, but unfortunately I've also believed, is that women have a stronger intuition than men. This couldn't be further from the truth. And I know this now, even just from the men in my family, their intuition is so strong. It has required, yes, some motivation, or not motivation, but like encouragement that it is okay for them to use their intuition and that I trust their intuition as part of their leadership. So that's been a little, I think as women, we need to encourage this in our brothers, in our father, in our sons, in our community members, in our husband. We need to encourage that we do trust their intuition just as much as we trust our own intuition. And it's just such a beautiful relationship, because the more you trust your intuition and trust their intuition, the more they trust their intuition and your intuition. And then you're just going to be so much more powerful together. So that has been my experience. And I no longer believe that women have a stronger intuition than men do. It just depends on who is working that muscle out more. And unfortunately, in this thing, it's kind of stacked against men, that men have not been encouraged to work on that muscle as much, because we really value their logical and rational parts, right? It's this, remember that the world we live in is the world they live in, and we're now taking this away from women, so obviously we're also taking it away from men, right? So I do think that everyone has the potential and ability to work this muscle. It is in all of us, okay? So your intuition, like I said, it kind of, I don't really like this word, but I'm gonna use it anyways. Or maybe I should reverse it. Your ego, the part of you that's like the primitive brain, is constantly competing with the intuition for attention. And because the intuition part is softer, it's more subtle, even though it is more powerful, oftentimes that primitive part will win. It's just louder. It's like someone that's like soft-spoken. It's kind of like in the background, it's talking to you, and the ego is like, listen to me, listen to me, listen to me, threat, 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 help, help, help. It's just gonna drown out that softer part of you that's kind of like the background speaking. So we want to turn down. That's why we meditate. That's why we journal. That's why we walk in nature. That's why we pray to God. That's why we surrender. We do all of those things. Why? So that we can start turning down the volume of the screaming loud ego, I need to keep myself safe, everything is a threat part of us, the human self, and so that we can hear more of those intuitive knowings. Okay, now another big myth, that this one like drives me insane, and I wish that people would stop teaching this, because I think it's hurting more than it's helping, is when people start labeling the way that they receive their intuition as, oh, I'm clairaudient, or I'm clairvoyant, or whatever the terms are. I don't even know all of them. I don't care for them. And here's why. It is limiting us. Okay, that's like you having access to So many different senses, like 5 that we know about, but there's more, right? Like let's just assume there's 5 or 6, right? And then you're like walking around saying, I can only hear. I only hear. I don't speak. I don't taste. I don't touch. I don't see. I don't know. Okay? I only hear. That's going to really limit your life experience, because whatever shows up in front of you, you want to be able to engage with it and experience it in its full capacity, in its full dimension. And being in this human body already limits us so much. Why on earth would we want to add on those kind of limitations? And what I have learned about intuition, it's actually when you are open and you do not care how your intuition works, where the information comes from, you're going to receive all of it. So for example, if someone showed up in front of me and they were speaking to me not only with their energy, they were speaking to me with their words, they were speaking to me with their body language, and let's say that they were speaking to me through sign language as well, okay, and through like their sixth sense. But I was hell bent on saying, I can only hear you, and I was like la 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 la, I can't see anything else, like I can only hear the words that are coming out of your mouth. Sure, I could get some information, but can you see that it would be grossly limited? It would be ridiculous of me to do that when I can see the whole thing. Why would I not want to receive the information fully? So in order to get out of your way, stop labeling how you receive the information. I don't want you to think of yourself as like, I just know it, or I just hear it, or I just feel it. God, give it to me in whatever way you need me to hear it in this moment. If you want me to feel it in this moment, I will feel it. I will hear it. I will know it. I will whatever it. And chances are, its bits and pieces will come in through all of those channels. So this is a big part, and this is something I did talk about in my book. And so, I was not aware that I talked about intuition on page 222. I do like that. I love it when those kind of things happen. Yes, so it starts on page 222. The funny thing was, a student pointed out that I talked about my, you know how I dedicated this book to 7 generations back and 7 generations forward for Sheena and Alina, for us. Someone pointed out that it was page 7. Okay, I'm not the one that formatted this book. We hired an expert to do so. So the fact that it turned out formatted that way blows my mind. Like, oh my goodness, like love that, okay? So page 222, I talk about being able to open up all of your channels and receive it from however God wants. God is not limited on how you're going to receive this information. So stop making up imaginary rules around it, okay? Now, in my last live stream, was it the last one, where I talked about how to have an open heart and a strong heart, I mentioned the Heart Math Institute a lot. The Heart Math Institute and Joe Dispenza, both of these, they're actually affiliated, they work together a lot as well. They have been able to measure intuition, which is boggles my mind. Just, I'm so glad that I am alive at this period of time where we have now the technology to actually measure things that the mystics have been talking about for the ages, right? All the spiritual stuff. So they talk about how our intuition, the resonance that emanates from our heart, is like 50,000 times more stronger than the heart. And the other thing that I want you to understand is your heart, your intuition, the intuition is sort of tied to this field, this electromagnetic field, this heart-brain coherence. It knows things way before the brain individually registers it. So the heart and the brain working in sync, working together. Another way of saying it is the human self and the divine part, the human and the spirit working together is way more stronger than just the brain working on its own. So this is enough information, scientifically verified, for us to know that we can trust our intuition. Okay? Now, before we get more into intuition, I want to talk briefly about instincts versus intuition. Your instincts are kind of automations built into the human part of you. Okay? And it's also true for animals. So for example, a baby squirrel that's born in the spring, will know in the fall that it's supposed to gather up nuts and store them for the winter. It's not been taught that, because how would it be taught that? The fall hasn't even arrived. It doesn't even have a whole year to witness her parents doing that or anyone else doing that. It's ingrained in her. It's just like, it's a factory installed program. That is an instinct. Intuition is coming from your connection with the divine, with the metaphysical, with the supernatural. Okay? And instincts are going to be similar for your species. Okay? They come before habits. Habits might be more individual, but instincts are more for the whole species. Okay? Your intuition gives you specific guidance for you. But here's the important part, and I don't want you to miss this. This is very important. I want you to trust that your intuition already takes into account all the logical, rational, safety measures, all of the stuff that you've learned from being alive, who to avoid, who to love, what's good, what's bad, all of that. It already takes it, into account. Oops, I forgot to bring my water today. That is very unusual for me. So you don't have to keep a watchful eye. You can surrender that part. I think a lot of people think, well, if I just follow my heart all the time, if I'm just like following my intuition, will I be safe? Am I safe? Yes, you are. Because your intuition already, it's 10 steps ahead of your instincts or your experiences. It's not going to have you fall off the cliff. It's not going to have you accidentally step on the rattlesnake. Okay? It's not going to accidentally have you put your hand in the lion's mouth. It's factored in your safety. I want you to be able to trust that. It's a hard one for the watcher, for the protector part of our ego. It is very hard to trust that. It's like, but that's my job. Is someone taking over my job? No. It acknowledges that that's your job and that's the post that you have taken, but it's factoring in that data. So you can relax and you can trust. Okay? So now, how do we build a strong intuition? Now, the steps how I did it are just for your inspiration. Please don't take them as dogma. You might have a different path to it, but I know that these are going to inspire you, because I have tens of thousands of students that have said that they have used my formula, my way that I did it to help their template, to inspire how they activated their intuition. Okay? And the reason I show up so confident is because I do have tens and thousands of students that I've had the opportunity to practice this on. Okay? So number one is I want you to practice paying attention to your 5 senses as you move through your everyday life. This is stage one. And even before you do this, here's my kind of disclaimer. This is a lifelong process. You're not going to activate this in one day. This is not a pill that you're going to take. I do not have some sort of a magic wand. Okay? This is for those that are in the journey of becoming more and more themselves, their best versions, and aligning with God's divine plan for them, their soul blueprint. So, yep, this is going to be a journey. Okay? And you're going to keep practicing until the day that you take your last human breath. And then you're probably going to keep practicing beyond that as well. So number one is I want you to use your 5 senses as a portal into coming into the now. What does that look like? That looks like when you're listening to this training right now, because that's what you're doing right now. Be here right now. Listen. Be present. Listen with your ears. Listen with your eyes. Listen with your nose. Listen with your mouth. Listen with your heart. Listen with your womb. listen with your solar plexus, listen with every cell in your body. Take in all of the transmissions, all of the seen, heard, the unseen, the unheard, all of the feelings, all of the frequencies and the vibrations. Be here with it now. Okay? After this, maybe you're gonna go get a snack, or maybe you're eating one now. Okay? Well, as you're eating your snack, be there with all of the flavors, the frequencies, the tastes, the feels, the sights, the smells of what you're eating. This is the first portal that activated the strong intuition that I have now. I've earned it through bringing myself back to my senses and experiencing everything. You will also notice, this is a big side effect of this exercise that I'm giving you, is that you will start enjoying life so much more. You will start tasting all of the flavors, all of the tones of everything you eat. You will start being so present in every conversation that you have, in every experience, in every moment. That is the first portal. It is the first gateway for you to start building this relationship with your intuition. Okay? You will also notice that you will become an observer versus a reactor to a lot of things. It might not be the first day. It might take you a few months, maybe a few years to get to that state. But as you start activating this presence through your senses, you'll start being in a more relaxed state. You'll start becoming more of an observer of life versus just like someone that's being dragged through. Time will slow down for you. You'll have more of a feeling of timelessness. Does this mean you're going to be late? No, because your intuition factors in everything that you think you have to be the watchman for. No pun intended there. But it's going to factor it in because the intuition is the level after the human, right? So it's factoring in the human. You will not be late. You will have time expand for you. You will start realizing how much time there actually exists in what we say is a 24-hour day. How much time exists in a week, in a month, in a year, in a lifetime. So much. Do you know there's enough time in a lifetime to live over 100 incarnations if you allow? If you allow? If you let your intuition be the leader. If you surrender the human to the intuition, there's so much time. Okay? Also, what is required to build your intuition, this relationship, this muscle that we're building up, is believe in a higher power. I don't care what you call it. If you want to call this higher power science, go for it. If you want to call it God, love it. You want to call it the universe? Beautiful. Kainat? Yes. Higher power? Sure. Quantum self? Yes. The quantum field? Why not? I don't call it if you call it, I don't care if you call it a tree. Okay? I don't care if you call it Om. I don't care if you invent a word for this higher power, but you must have a belief. Because otherwise you are trapped in this 3D reality and all you know is what you can see here now, and you are screwed. You are screwed. Because then life is going to be a whole lot of suffering and a whole lot of pain. And most people are trapped in that paradox, on that plane. You must activate your faith in some sort of higher power. Call it whatever you want to. Do you believe that someone, something out there is supporting you, is loving you, is rooting for you, is communicating with you? Do you truly believe that? Do you really? Do you really? You sure about that? You sure? Okay? Decide right now that you do believe that. Because once you decide, you give it permission to fully take over and start communicating with you. Okay? Now, okay, as you're doing that, here are the next steps. You're going to start asking your intuition simple questions. And when I say asking your intuition, asking God, higher power, I don't care if we're calling it fluffy. Okay, ask fluffy. Okay? Simple questions. And we're good. I do not want you to start with, Big ones. Like, should I marry the, it's like going to the gym and you've never worked out a day in your life and you want to lift the 150 bar, 150 pound bar. No ma'am. No sir. You're going to hurt yourself. Okay? You do not have the physical and energetic power to be able to lift that yet. Okay? We're going to start with simple questions. Okay? We're going to start with the simple machines. We're going to start with the 5-pound dumbbells. 2-pound dumbbells, depending on wherever you need to start. Should I eat this or this? What color should I wear today? Should I put butterflies in my hair today? Should I wear a blue tie or a red tie if you're a man? Or if you're a woman that wears ties? Should I eat this or that? Should I take that route or this route? Should I carry this purse or that one? Should I have this nail polish color or that one? Which song should I listen to today? And then here's a key process. When you ask those questions, you're going to surrender the answer, meaning you're not efforting. Intuition does not take any efforting, okay? And you're going to trust whatever answer comes to you. That first answer that comes to you, you are not to second guess it. You're going to do it. If the answer was wear the red dress over the blue one, you're going to wear the red dress. Okay? If the answer was go this route and not that one, I want you to take that route. If the answer was go with the pink nail polish and not the red one, choose the pink one. Eat the apple, not the banana, eat the apple. And you're going to do this during moments of your life, as many as you want to, and knowing that each moment you choose the route that the divine tells you, the color, the road, the food, the song, the book. Each time you are building that intuition muscle, and it is getting stronger and stronger and stronger every time you build that relationship. And you're going to do this every day, and you're going to do this every week, and you're going to do this every month, and you're going to do this every year, and you're going to do this every lifetime. And your life is going to unfold in the most beautiful ways, in the most divine ways, and life is going to become easier because you're not going to have decision fatigue. You're not going to be making, cons and pros lists anymore. I used to do that in my self-aware Barbie days. And you are going to get stronger and stronger with your relationship with the divine. And the magic that will unfold will just blow your mind. You will see. You will see in due time. I don't have to oversell it. I don't have to explain it, because you will see what kind of magic unfolds in your own life once you start doing this. Okay? So that's what I wanted to say about building your intuition. Okay? Go and do it. And I'll answer a couple questions. I don't have my drink, so this is going to be a shorter video today because I'm already starting to get a little thirsty from speaking so much. I'll answer a couple of your questions. Also want to quickly mention that today is the last day for the Millionaires Play Shop Flash Sale. Okay? So that's linked in the description box. And many of you have been taking advantage of that. So we'll drop that in, and then let me see what questions you guys have, if anything, or comments. I love these metaphysical topics. Yay! I'm so excited to hear that. Me too. My soul is just coming alive. Did someone bring me a drink? You know what? I have a refrigerator in my lounge right outside my office. Let me just go get it. Feeling the wind in my hair and on my skin is one of my favorites. I always take the time for gratitude and manifestations. Kitty, you're speaking my language. That is also one of my favorite things. Honestly, it took me a little while to get there, but I can tell you that I feel like when I'm just outside, which is every day, taking in that wind through my body, it's like I'm receiving downloads. I don't know, it's just, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's this information in it that I would have missed if I was in my head, if I was just stuck in the mental plane. Limiting belief Why would God care if I wear red or black? This is such a great question. So colors, textures, movements, positionings in time and space, it's an antenna. So let me give you the, are you guys old enough? Do you guys remember when we had to have those rabbit ear antennas? Tell me if you guys resonate with this example. I'll give, maybe I'm too old that I even remember this. Those antennas on the TV. And if my dad was getting a bad signal, he would say, go in, push that. No, a little bit to the right, a little bit to the left. Okay, do you guys remember that? That's how colors are. That's how food interacts with us. That's how textures interact. Jewelry, like the metals that the jewelry is made of, this is why people place crystals in their environment. So when I go in my closet and if I'm like looking at two dresses, I'm like, this literally happened to me today. I was like, should I wear the blue dress or the pink one? And wear the pink one. Okay. Why does that matter? Because wearing the pink dress versus the blue one has a different color psychology. It has different effect on my energetics, which means that my antenna is positioned differently that day. So what information I can channel, what information I have access to, how other people see and read my energy is impacted by the color that I wear that day. And I have had profound experiences when I didn't trust it versus when I did. Sometimes I would end up doing the other thing and I would start immediately noticing that things were off. I had fallen out of the field. I messed up that relationship. Okay? Imagine if you were married and your husband was like, babe, did you want me to use the white pen or the purple one? And you said the purple one. He was like, okay, good. How would you feel? Would that make your relationship stronger with your husband or weaker, do you think? Right? This is what we're literally doing with our intuition all the time. Okay? That's why God cares about that. Because you can't even hear God perfectly, clearly, when you're like in your human and messing things like that up. So use that as a portal. There is a reason that we're attracted towards different colors, different foods at different times, that we want to go on this vacation and not that one, and sit in this seat and not that one, and face here and not there. There is a reason. We are antennas in time, space, receiving access to different information. That's why it matters. Got it. Amazing advice. I do that with my husband too, by the way. How we do anything is how we do everything. Okay? So trust. What would it feel like to trust? So I have a little story about this just from my own life. I have you know how I do all my inner work happens in layers. And it's like I start inner work, I do it, and then I integrate it, and then there's a new level. And then I do it for a while, and then I integrate, and then there's a new level. Well, last month, about exactly, I was looking at my calendar today, about exactly 30, 31 days, something like that. I had this like new kind of like desire to surrender to my husband more. And I already am pretty surrendered to him. Like he makes most of the big decisions, you know, takes my feelings and everything into account. But like I don't like to use my mental plane a lot, and I'm okay with whatever he decides in like most things. But about 30 days ago, I noticed that there's some things that I, in my mind, have deemed, well, those aren't important, and Irfan doesn't care about those, so I'm just gonna micromanage them. And I'll tell you what those things are. They have a lot to do with travel, okay? And like going places. And in my brain, I had rationalized it, but I'm a projector and I have very sensitive energy, and I have to sit in that particular seat on the plane, and the hotel has to be exactly this way. You know, it was like, ugh. And so Irfan already knows my preferences, but there was still an element of me like, oh, you booked that hotel? Just go and check up on it. Okay? Yes, you got this. You got the seats on the. Okay. Okay. There was still this little bit of element from my old self of like overseeing it. So about 30 days ago, this was not easy for me. It was not easy. I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna surrender on another level. And everything in my being was doing this. It wanted to resist, it wanted to fight, it wanted to question myself. Not with him. It was like, Mina, are you sure? Ooh, sure? I'm like, listen, okay? You have let Irfan know every single preference that you have about hotel rooms and travel and which seat you like and all of that stuff, okay? Just freaking surrender it. And so I had a new level of surrender. And so in the last 30 days, whatever he's like, let's go to this high tea. Okay. I texted you the link. You sure you don't want to check it? No, I trust you. Are you sure you want to check the vibe of the place? No, I trust you. At first, there was a level of like, is she okay? And then it was this level of like, oh, okay. So what happened? Irfan started planning even more things, and I used that as an opportunity to surrender even more, and literal magic has unfolded in my life in the last 30 days. Okay? Magic. Okay? Divine magic, but also $1 Million Babe magic. I manifested 8 pairs of free designer shoes. Okay? And 4 pairs of extremely discounted designer shoes from brands I didn't even know had an outlet. And then because of that, manifested a relationship with someone where now I get to have designer shoes at huge discounts for the rest of my life. Like I'm just telling you the $1 Million Babe stuff. There was a lot of high-end divinity stuff, I promise. But you guys like hearing the $1 Million Babe stuff because you can see that stuff. Magic unfolded. Magic inside my body, inside my heart, inside my soul, inside my closet. Experiences. And there's this new level of leadership and masculinity. My husband, you guys know, he's a very masculine guy. But oh my God, the level of masculinity that has opened up in him, delicious. I'm only assuming that is in direct correlation with how much femininity has opened up in me. But all of it from making one simple little micro alignment, one little tweak of something I had already been working on, but now saying, no, he doesn't even need to send me the link for me to vibe check the place. No, I don't have to go into my app and check to make sure what seat Irfan got. Or check the vibe of the restaurant. Or make sure that the resort is exactly how I like it. And the suite is exactly how I prefer it to be. And just trusting. Just the mental capacity that has opened up. And the intuitive abilities. I'm like, oh my God, is this what I was keeping small? By micromanaging this little aspect? Magic has unfolded. Both $1 Million Babe magic and high-end divinity magic. So just one example of what can happen when we just surrender more. Also, I'm planning on doing a whole video on this, so I won't talk more about this. But I've been on this journey for the last, for a while, but deeper in the last 6 months to let go of numbers from my life. That's been scary, but it's also been exhilarating. And I did it in layers. I wasn't one day F the numbers. No, that would have given me panic. I did it slowly. First, I got rid of these quarterly numbers that I was tracking in my business. And then I got rid of these monthly numbers that I was tracking in my business. And then God took the lead and got rid of this big thing from both Irfan and I. We had a whole day of panic. This app, this big company that we were using to track our net worth, our daily expenses, our yearly expenses, our taxes, they sent us an email saying, we're no longer tracking anything. Bye. And there was a state of panic. Like I remember Irfan's phone was ringing off the hook from his friends who also use this app going, oh my God, like how do we track anything now? And within like a day Irfan was over it. It took me a couple days longer than him. And I was like, did you find another app? Did you find another system? And he was like, well, I'll find something. But then I started noticing that he wasn't responding. And I was like, did you find something? No response. And I'm like, why do I feel like you're in a different plane than I am about this? And he said, well, I've been thinking about this. And he's like, what if we're at a place where we don't need to track anything? I was like, wait, what? But like tracking everything got us here. Remember, like track every dollar and blah, blah, and tracking everything makes it 15% better. He's like, yes, but what if we've already integrated that? What if at our level, taking that app away was like something that happened to help us? It wasn't like we have to replace that app. What if we don't have to check that? I was like, oh my God, what? Can I trust myself? Because you guys, you know from my book, I have had a natural ability to trust the feminine when it comes to money. I had to really lean on the masculine, learn it. So I had a few days where I was like, do I trust myself? Do I trust myself? And then I was like, you know what? Actually, I do. And more importantly, I trust my husband. And even more importantly, I trust God. I trust that everything I've learned, I have integrated, and that if this app got ripped away from us in one day, just like that, there must be a reason. So after that, the next layer was I had this intuitive nudge to delete the Zero app. I know you guys are like, not the Zero app, Mina. For those of you guys that don't know, many years ago, when I was talking about intermittent fasting and tracking it, and I shared how it was helping me by tracking. I even got my husband and my son tracking it. We were tracking it just on our phone. Well, one of my subscribers at the time was like, well, Mina, there's an app. And I was like, what? So we downloaded this free app called Zero. And for years, my husband, me, and my older son, we used that app to track our fast. Well, about 30 days ago, I think this was like 30, 40 days ago, I had this intuitive nudge to delete the app. And of course, the human part of me was freaking out. Well, you're not going to be able to fast without the app. Okay, well, I fasted before the app. I was fasting before I knew what intermittent fasting was. In fact, the human species has been fasting for millions of years because food wasn't always available. And then I asked myself a really important question. Mina, do you trust yourself to be able to fast even without the app? And the answer was, of course I do. I'm ready. And I went in there and I looked one time at all my achievements. That app gives you like trophies and it keeps like streaks for you. And I looked at it and I said, thank you for serving me all these years. And then I deleted the app. And I have still been fasting. In fact, I've actually been fasting more intuitively, more consistently, more in touch with my body and my intuition since I deleted the app. Did that app serve me at some point? Of course, I loved it. That's why it was like, I was attached to it. But my next level now requires me not to have that app. Because the new level requires a new lesson, it requires a new trusting, it requires a new surrendering. And so I got rid of that. And so slowly, I've been following those nudges when the divine says, okay, Mina, now you're not going to track this. Okay. And as I've mentioned before, right now we're on this fun little challenge. It's been so fun of increasing our steps. And so we're trying to go from 10,000 steps a day to more and more and more. And we have two neighbors in our community that have been really encouraging us, and they have been our 4-minute mile. So both of these men are a lot older than Irfan and I, and they walk every single day. When there was a freeze here a couple months ago, it was below freezing, they were walking. When it rains, Irfan and I used to be like, oh, it's raining today, we'll just skip it. They would be walking with an umbrella. If it was like 100 degrees, we're like, oh, it's too hot to walk today, they would be walking. And because they're just so much older than us, we just stopped them one day and we said, oh my God, we are just so inspired by you. Thank you. We see you going by our window, and we are so inspired. And we asked them, can we please ask how many laps do you do around? So our subdivision is 1.6 for one circle, and Irfan and I were doing 2, which is around 10,000. It was a little bit less, but about 10,000 steps. They said 6. Okay, we were shocked. 6? Okay, whoa. So now Irfan and I are at we're averaging about 12,500 steps. I don't have a Fitbit. I do not carry my phone with me everywhere. Most of the time I don't know where my phone is. I definitely do not take my phone on the walks. But Irfan has his phone in his pocket when we walk. And I'm just trusting his health app that tracks. And I had this one little thing, especially because my son Ayan, my middle one, was encouraging me. He's like, Mom, why don't you just get an Apple Watch? Like, everyone has one. It'll track it for you. I'm like, no. I do not need all that tracking and all those numbers. And I just trust that, you know, me walking more, building, I can literally feel my leg muscles getting stronger every single day. Yes, is it fun to like challenge ourselves and have 4-minute miles for us? Yes, it is so fun. Is it fun to be working up to eventually getting to 20,000 steps a day? Absolutely. Do I need to track that every single day? No. Can I just trust that how I feel in my body and the fact that we're now doing more than 2 laps or more than 2 circles around our subdivision, is that's enough? And then eventually doing 4 and then, yes, right? Is everyone at that stage yet? No. Some people need to get to the self-aware Barbie stage, and they need to have discipline and tracking and numbers. They need to make numbers at the forefront of their day. Not me. Not at the level that I'm at. And so this is us following the intuition of the next level and trusting that. Mina, I underestimated the loop in my neighborhood and recently found out that the least I've ever done is 3 miles. Oh my God! I always thought it was around 1. Felt so good. I love that. So see, you tracking that once, great. Now you're like, okay, 1 lap, 3 miles. 1.5, okay. 2 miles. So now you know, okay? And then at some point, you don't have to track that. Alina and I are like, we can literally feel the muscles getting stronger. Like, it's a weird sensation. I think if you guys walk, you know what I mean. It's not like your legs hurt, and it doesn't quite feel like the burn in your gym, but it's like you can literally feel your legs getting stronger. And it's been so fun as a family doing this, challenging ourselves, pushing ourselves, encouraging each other, and then also having this kind of informal coaching from our neighbors. They've been rooting us on, and we love it. Now it's like, wait a minute, we have to go. Like, they're looking out for us too. We've got community in it. Yeah, the only pain I like. Yes, I hear you. Mina, the level of anxiety and eye roll I gave at the idea of giving my husband free range to decide all our travel accommodations, I literally said out loud, girl, please, I would never. Therefore, I will. And here's the thing, babe. 5-6 years ago, I couldn't have done that either. Why? Because Irfan and I had not had very important discussions around my needs and my preferences, okay? We also hadn't had great feedback from me. So how do I explain this? So for example, what was happening is when Irfan would get it wrong, there would be a lot of negative feedback. Like, oh no, I hate this. Like, now I'm not gonna be able to sleep. And oh, I can't sleep in a hotel room like this and it's too loud. There would be a lot of that. But when he got it right, there was like not as much feedback, okay? So I would say this is nice, but it wasn't like, why? This is so nice. I love it when we're facing this way and the bed's like this and it's so quiet. And there wasn't enough for him to build his mental model of deciding. I hadn't given him enough positive feedback of these little preferences. Men listen to those and they register them. Okay, so there was a lot of like negative feedback, but not enough of my desires. So because I've been doing that now 15 and a half years in our marriage, but more intentionally, positively in the last 5 or 6, I can now trust that Irfan knows those things. First of all, I had to trust that Irfan cares about my preferences and loves me enough to make me comfortable. That was a whole inner work in itself. You guys know that. I did not come into this marriage believing I was worthy of that, or he was capable of giving me that. So a lot of inner work there. And then I had to give him like the data. I had to tell him why I need to be facing this way versus that way in a hotel room, or have the room be clean in a certain manner, right? Like I had to give him that. And once I gave it enough, well, now how would it feel to, because we had gotten to a place where he got it right like 99% of the right time, but he didn't trust that I trusted him. So he would send me a link. I booked this hotel. Can you check that it's okay? I made reservations for us on Friday night at this location. Text me the why? Because he's trying to make sure that I'm happy with all of his choices. Well, that doesn't feel good to me anymore. I want my husband to know that I trust his leadership, that I trust his decisions, and most importantly, that I trust that he loves me and he cares about me. And then if something's not perfectly right, who the F cares? I'm there with my husband having a good old time. And it's fun. What it did in him, I was not expecting. Like, I want to cry just telling you guys about it. Like, he's been happy on a level that I didn't, like, he went from being blissful to being blissful 2.0. Like, he's planning things so much more now. So much more. Like, I mean, he's already very adventurous with food and travel and things like that. But now, I don't know why. I don't want to psychoanalyze it too much. But if I had to guess, it's like the energy that was taking him into making sure that I trusted his decision, maybe. I don't know. I don't, like I said, I don't want to psychoanalyze it too much. But we're just having so much more fun now. Like a whole different level. A whole different level. So yeah, it's like an adventure unfolded. Just from me saying, I trust you. Yeah, yep, great. Does your intuition also need a container? If so, what or how does that look like? Ooh, girl, you asked a question. Does your intuition need a container? It needs the container of faith. And that's built over time. I wish I could tell you that faith was just something I decided and then it just activated on the whole level. But no, a more accurate representation would be, I did decide one day that I would have faith, and then I had faith, and then I had faith, and it had more, and then 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 more. Oh my God, there was something I wanted to share with you, a really important story about aligned manifestations only. I'm gonna go grab a drink from my fridge in my lounge outside. I'll be back in like 30 seconds. But it's important to me to share that story, so I will be right back. Okay, I am back. Okay, good. Thank you, thank you. So the container of your intuition is faith. How much faith can you have? And that that can be hard sometimes because intuition doesn't always come with an explanation. That's tough. I've been called to do things that made no sense. No sense. And even people around me um, were questioning my decision. I've shared many of these stories. My intuition to just like only apply at Northwestern University, to say yes to Irfan's proposal after 2 weeks of knowing him, right? Of course, my family vetted him and all that stuff, but and then got married in 2 months after that, right? It's crazy things that I'm not advising you do unless that's your intuition, but crazy things, right? People question my sanity, right? My parents were like, oh my God, like so impulsive. I just knew that that's what I had to do. What's the thing that Armand says? I'm unable to can't, right? There's this whole funny thing he says. I only remember the last portion, so it probably doesn't make sense. But yeah, I was like, I couldn't stop myself from doing it. It was like, I have to, right? It didn't come with an explanation, but I had to. I had to. So that that faith of like sticking to it when everything around you is saying, no, 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 you're crazy, don't do this, you're gonna get yourself killed and blah, 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 and this, that requires faith. But I've been building it my entire life and still doing it, still activating it in bigger and bigger and bigger ways, bigger and bigger and bigger ways. So, yes, faith is the container. Okay, the story. So, when you activate your intuition and build that muscle, you only have aligned manifestations, obviously, right? Well, I was on a coaching call the other day and someone asked me a question, and I was like, you guys know I'm very fast with my replies because I know who I am. I studied the material, the spiritual part of it, the actual physical part of it, the spiritual part of it. It's my daily practice. Like I'm very confident in everything I teach, and I usually have an answer right away. You guys notice that and say it all the time. She asked me a question. I was like, oh, oh my God. Like it stumped me a little bit. And so the question was, you guys know, I've even put this in my book that I think it like challenged up about two of my really big core beliefs. And one thing I've loved is that nothing that I believe contradicts another thing. It all works, right? But in this thing, I was like, oh, okay. So, you know how I talk about the evolutionary basics? I should have marked this for you guys beforehand, but the evolutionary basics of what men should provide, right? I'm very vocal about that. It's like evolutionarily sound. It's a part of my culture. You guys have heard me talk about this for years, right? Well, her question was that she agrees that that she wants to be provided for in that way through her partner, and her partner is more than willing to provide those things and is working on providing those things. But here was her question that I was not only left kind of stumped at that moment, and I was able to coach her through it, but the question, even after the coaching call, the question didn't leave my mind, and I was like pondering it. And the question was, what if something that is an evolutionary basic that you want to definitely have your partner provide for you, and he wants to provide it. However, another family member steps in and they say they want to give you that thing. Why? Just because of the goodness of their heart. It's a gift. And it's not because they're saying your partner is a peasant and he can't do it. No, no, no. They acknowledge that your partner's got it, but they just want to gift it to you anyways. What do you do? And I was a little like, oh, hmm. Here's why. Because on the one hand, yeah, you should receive, right? Like if someone wants to gift you something, obviously we want to be in our feminine, we want to receive their gift. We don't want to reject their gift. But at the same time, if your belief is that I want my partner to provide this as one of the evolutionary basics. How does that work? Right? And so that was, I was thinking about this. This was a few weeks ago. I'm still thinking about this. And in fact, it was on my mind so much that I asked her Fawn about it. I said, babe, I said, hypothetically speaking, if a family member was going to give me this thing, what would your feelings be about it? And he was like quiet for a second, and he's like, why are you asking? And I'm like, I just, this was a question that was presented to me, and I would want you to give me that. And I know you would want to give me that. You have given me that. But what if someone else wanted to do it? So he said, well, one option is you could receive it from your family member, but it could be an addition to what I provided. So it would be like a bonus. I'm like, I like that one because you're receiving it, but it's also like the evolution basic part is coming from you. He's like, yeah, that's one option. I like that. I like that one. Okay. So he didn't give me like a straight up like this, but he's like, that's one option. So I'm like, I like that. One that I kind of was thinking about was, what if it was your partner that called it in? Meaning your partner wanted to provide this for you so badly, but right at that time they couldn't. And they surrendered to God and said, God, I'm available for this thing to come from any holy channel, any halal channel, and please bring it so that I can give this to my wife. And what if at that time, for whatever reason, that was the channel? So as you guys can see, this is something that I feel like this is high-end divinity stuff now. And the $1,000,000 babe in me is like, nope, no exceptions. Husband's got to provide it. No exceptions. And the high-end divinity part of me is like, but hold on there. What if your husband had called it in this way? So what I had, my client, she was, and not only being, she wasn't in that moment looking to be coached in herself. Not only, she also wanted to know what I would do in that exact circumstance. And what my answer had been at the time, and I agree with this answer, is that I would use, if that was presented to me in that moment, I would use my intuition in that moment, because when that was happening in the location and time space it was happening in, I would trust that God would give me that intuitive hit at that moment to either say yes or no, or say, let me think about this, let me consult my partner, and that's how I would be in that moment. That's the answer that I gave my client, just so you guys know, that asked me that question. But I've been thinking about this because I think there is another layer, okay? Now, I think my answer would change if my partner didn't want to provide this, or was incapable of providing it, because that comes with a whole host of other kind of health things from the masculine that would not feel good to me personally. I'm not saying that's what you have to decide, but for me, I think that would change my answer. Um, I think I would also be very much disturbed if my partner was forcing me to choose that. Because I don't know, I feel some kind of way about that. It wouldn't feel like a manifestation then for me. It would feel like a hack that I didn't like. I wouldn't do it if it felt like my partner was not providing, someone else was, right? Like, does that make sense? So that's where I'm at. I'm still working with it. I think that there's some kind of a download, a next level in this way of thinking. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to pretend like I know what it is, but I haven't been stumped over a question in a very long time, and this one had me. So yeah. Yeah, it's a different level of thinking. Yeah. It's like if your husband paid for a driver to pick you up versus him driving to get you there, he's still providing. Correct. Correct. There's a lot of other things. that I can pull on. So let me give you an example of another client that had asked me a question years ago that I had answered it in this way, and we can pull from that answer to answer this. She had said, this was her question. So her and her partner, her husband, they love to travel, and her husband loved to plan vacations for her, and they were both working professionals, both had very high-end careers, and her husband would pay for all like plan the trip, pay for everything. Well, what happened was, through my client's business, there was an opportunity to go for a conference. And when she told her husband about this conference, he was like, "Great, I've always wanted to go there too. What if I go, come with you, and after your conference, we could turn it into a whole vacation?" You guys know my husband and I do this with my intensives, right, all the time. And before that, when I first got married to Irfan, I don't know if you guys know this, he was a consultant and used to travel for a living, and me and Armand used to go with him because his job was paying for his ticket and the hotel and the meals. And so he would just have to pay for mine and Armand's ticket, and we could stay in his hotel room. And they gave him a big enough like month, like daily allowance for meals, that even most of our meals were covered. And so we got to enjoy that. So the question that this client has is that now there was a conflict in her mind. She said, "Well, Mina, because this is a business conference, I can write this trip off through my business, right?" But she's like, "But we have it in our relationship," and they were newlyweds, and that's why it's like when you're establishing kind of like standards in the beginning, right? She's like, "But my husband typically pays for our trips, all of our, like they had taken like 6 or 7 trips in a year that they've been married. It's like he's paid for everything. So what do I do?" So I said, "You are a smart businesswoman, and your union needs to include the business skills that both you and your husband have." So I gave her my example. I'm like, it doesn't matter if my husband can provide for something or not. If I'm able to write that off through my business, then absolutely I'm going to write that off from my business. It doesn't matter if it's an evolutionary basic or not at that moment. Travel is not an evolutionary basic, but it doesn't matter because that's the smart business thing to do. Otherwise, you are not writing off something that is a legit business expense. You're paying taxes, more taxes now, and then you're like using his already like post-tax income to pay for it. So it's like you're kind of that's not a smart, as a smart business couple, that's not a smart decision. So when we have our personal values and belief systems, we're also intelligent, right? So what I said in this scenario, you write off absolutely what you can write off and let your business run those expenses through your business. That is the smart thing to do. And actually, that's going to bring you closer together as a couple because now it's like, no, we get to have this and that. We don't have to choose. You're not choosing either my husband provides or I'm a smart businesswoman. No, you are a smart businesswoman and your husband gets to provide. And as a couple, you're actually getting more financially stable and robust because you're making smart decisions. So now back to this example, this question. So using what my belief around that, and I do this in my business all the time. You guys know this. I don't care if it's an evolutionary basic or what, right? For example, because I have an LLC, I have a business, I'm able to write off our phones. I'm able to write off internet, right? Those could be considered evolutionary basics. That would not be a smart business decision. Like we're educated people, right? We make smart business decisions. So my husband doesn't pay for that, my business does. Because yeah, I want to write off what I'm legally entitled to write off. So you get to have choices and you get to have options. So in that example of the house, right? That's a tough one for me because the house definitely for me, I'm very much like attached to that belief that the husband has to provide that. My culture believes that, evolutionarily I believe that, I stand by my word. But if I had a family member that was going to gift me a house, would it be a
smart business decision to reject it? What if I could Airbnb it? What if I could, um, save it for my grandchildren and give it to them? What if I could donate it? What if I could turn it into a school or a community? I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm kind of playing in new frequencies right now. And that's where I'm at. Yeah. Is it different to ask God about these minor decisions you talked about in the beginning and doing whatever you are drawn to? I think what you're drawn to is you um, already being in your intuition. When you're in the beginning stages and you don't know what you're drawn to, you're asking the questions to know what you're drawn to. Does that make sense? So you're talking about the step after that. I don't have to I ask these questions when I step in my closet because I just instantly know what I'm drawn to because for years I asked and built that muscle, if that makes sense. Yeah? We're activating new levels, new frequencies. It would come down to if he is incapable. If it's a plus like a gift, then of course, but if he's not able to provide a home, I don't think that's a place I want to be. I agree with you, Kitty. That's where I'm at with it as well. And I'm in a privileged position that my husband has been able to, like, this is our third house that he's provided for us. Like the one he had bought before we even got married for his future wife, he provided. Then our previous house that we moved into when we moved to Texas, than this house. So now if someone came up and they wanted to give me a fourth house, I'll take it, right? And I'll like, put in a trust for my children or whatever. But if my husband was completely incapable of providing it, then and then it would also emasculate him, make him feel some kind of way that I don't trust his ability and I'm trusting my family member's ability over his. I would not accept that then. That's a different, it's a different situation. Yeah. In Greece, the Bridges family provide her. Oh, the brides. I'm sorry. I don't know why I said Bridges. In Greece, the bride's family provides her with a house before marriage. I guess it can work as a safeguard. Oh, that's beautiful. Yes. I have family members that have gifted their daughters a house as their wedding present. It's caused some issues, but it has happened. So, yeah, yeah, absolutely. In my culture, the family home remains with the sons because like the bride comes in and lives there, and then the daughters go and live in the husband's house, the one that he provides. So it's a little bit different. But yeah, I have family members that have provided their daughters with a home as a wedding present. Yeah. Exactly. I agree with you. Negative snowball effect. Yes. I would definitely, if I was married, I would check in with my husband about that 1000%. I would not want to accept something that huge without, unless we had decided, because you guys know inheritance are not marital property. So unless we had decided that our union was not accepting that gift, that I was individually accepting it, it would remain separate property and then our children would inherit it or something. So that would be different. I would be okay with that as long as like he was, it was something we decided together. Do you become savage when you have to protect your intuition? So, do you become savage when you have to protect your intuition? I think that this is such a great question. I protect my intuition by staying in the field. Because when I'm in the field, meaning I'm connected with God, my intuition is on high ground, I can listen clearly, certain things need to be happening. So, for example, if someone moves in with me that is really toxic or disturbing my peace, I know that the human part of me is not going to be able to stay in the field long enough. So I might have to have boundaries. Like, this is a true fact. I wrote about this in my book. Everyone in my life knows this is a fact. No one's going to be surprised to hear this, including you. I am not the kind of person that can move in um, relatives into my house. I am not. Can't do it. So other than my husband and children, I'm not like I will never move in my parents into my house. They're gone. But if they were alive, can't do it. I would never move in my in-laws into my house. I can't move in friends into my house. There's other ways to help people than bringing them into your house. Why? Because I have done that, tried it, and it doesn't matter if it's my family, his family, doesn't matter if it's friends. I just don't do well with that. Why don't I do well with that? It gets me out of the field. When I'm out of the field, I am not my best self. That means that I can't clearly hear God. That means that I'm tired. That means that I'm not connected to my intuition. And anyone that loves me would not want that for me. Now, some people might perceive that as being savage. They might perceive me as being unkind. My parents might even judge me. Why? My parents were the kind of people that would bring in random strangers that they didn't know at all into our house. I grew up like that. I was sexually molested throughout most of my childhood from these men that my parents picked up off the street and brought them into our apartments to live with us because they wanted to be kind and supportive of other Pakistani people. I had to pay the price for that. I don't think that that's the only way to be kind. Okay? You can give someone money, that's kind. You can pray for someone. You can help them stay in a hotel for a week. You can help them find someplace else to stay where children are not involved. So my first responsibility is to me staying in the field, my children, my home. I don't have to bring someone into my home to be kind. Are people gonna judge me for that? Sure. Do I give a damn? Nope. Because in the end, I just have to answer to God. And I'm not going to put my children in harm's way, and I'm not going to put my energy in harm's way because that's how I receive information, important information on how to be a good mother, a good wife, a good human being, how to serve my community. I'm not going to jeopardize that. Just like if someone thought that Mina would be perfect if she just placed one hand on the fire and just kept it there. I'm not going to fucking do that. Okay? Is that savage? Sure, maybe. I don't give a damn because putting my hand on on the fire makes the human part of me louder because it's in pain, it's screaming. So I'm not going to do that. I don't give a damn what anyone thinks about that. I didn't get where I'm at by giving a damn about randos. Oh my God, that's my problem. My intuition just say no. Just say no. I'm thinking we have to savagely trust our intuition versus protecting it. What do you think, Mina? You have to trust your intuition, but you have to trust the part, you have to protect the part of you that helps you stay listening to your intuition. Does that make sense? So the boundaries are there to keep you staying in the field. What do I mean in the field? Remember how I explained in the beginning that if you turn up the volume on the human, then it's like, I'm not safe, this is hurting, I'm so annoyed, I'm frustrated, then you can't hear the intuition. So the boundaries are to protect the human part so that you can now relax and stay into the part that can hear the intuition. Yeah, you get it. You get it. That's where the boundaries come in. Will people judge your boundaries? Yes. Should you give a damn? Nope. Because they're going to judge you when you're not in the field as well. Okay? They're going to judge you wherever. I don't just call them randos and don't worry about it. Okay? The people that are in their field, they're also connected to God, they're in their intuition, they will never judge you. They know what you're doing, they see you, they hear you, and they know that you can trust yourself. They know that they don't have to give you advice because you know the right things to do. If you ever fall out of field, they may say things like, trust yourself, you got this. They might encourage you to get back in the field, but they're not going to ever tell you what to do. Love you. You've taught me so much about womanhood. Girl, yes. Love that. Love it, love it. Love it. Okay, ladies, this was so much fun. I've got to run. Irfan has planned another one of those adventurous things for us, and I've got to go get a little bit more dolled up, a little bit more ready for that. And I will see you guys Monday. I post on my channel on Mondays and Tuesdays now. Either it's going to be a recorded video or a live stream. If it's a live stream, I always email my email list, and that's linked in the description box. So you can join that if you want to know what the topic is, what time I'm going live, all that jazz. Here's my email list. Oops. And if it's a recorded video, then obviously it's just going to go live at 8 a.m. Central Time on Monday or Monday and Thursday. Okay. Oops. Why is my mouse being really funny? Did I lose you? I think I lost you. Okay. The other last little bit I want to mention is that the Millionaires Play Shop flash sale this is the last day. All right, babes. I love you guys. I'm back. Okay. I opened it up here. Okay. Yeah, I think I was live, but I like lost the chat. Sorry. Should have made that clear. Okay. Love you guys so much. Have a beautiful weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday. Bye. Oops. They have done this so funny.